The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
The Forever Fab podcast values truth and authenticity. We encourage our guests to show up exactly as they are, as the best version of themselves. Please note, this podcast episode contains adult language. Thank you and enjoy. This week's episode is dedicated to fluidity. The topic of this week's episode is Solid Golde. Music, fashion, and making the world a better place. Welcome to my interview with Franne Golde. Welcome, Franne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Francine Vicky Golde. I mean, that sounds like,
Goldie,
you know what?
Goldie.
Francine Vicky Golde. Francine Vicky Golde is an American. A lot of ease. I love it. It's perfect. Francine, you see, Vicky Golde, it just works. Is an American songwriter, musician, singer, and writer. Her songs have appeared on more than 100 million, yes, I said 100 million records worldwide. Golde has received awards for singles with several members of the music industry glitterati, including the Pussycat Dolls, Randy Travis, Selena, Jody Watley, the Commodores, Jessica Simpson, Christina Aguilera, Whitney, and more. She also wrote the song for the Dennis Edwards and Garrett duo, Don't Look Any Further, which was my jam. I was telling Franne at the beginning before we started recording this podcast, and it has become one of the most frequently and widely sampled tracks by rappers and dance artists internationally, including Snoop Dogg, TLC, Tupac, Junior Mafia, Notorious B.I.G., and Lauryn Hill. Her IMDb page, that is Franne's IMDb page, is epic. Franne continues to write songs. Moreover, she's added yet another gift to her repertoire, fashion design. What a pivot, right? She currently designs an entire line of clothing and accessories under her name. And her line fulfills the needs of the modern woman and helps you to look good to feel good. I echo that motto. It's a collection of updated and fluid basics, clothes that you can live in, layer up, and mix and match, and they can take you from morning to evening in style and comfort. And it all started with a pair of pants. These pants were so perfect that they were named, quote unquote, the magic pant by Oprah style guru. And who doesn't need a pair of, pants, especially if they're magic? She's also a philanthropist and an advocate for mental wellness by serving and sitting on the board of Music Men's Minds. I'll talk about that later. She's also a member of the Women's Alzheimer's Movement and has been honored as an architect of change by Maria Shriver. Franne, those are just a few of the incredible things that you have done and continue to do in your life. Again, I am so grateful for your presence. Congratulations on all of your success, and thank you for becoming a beautiful member of the Fab Five community. Thank you. Let's get started. I'm not going to try to sing, okay, because I was a soprano too in high school, and that was about it.
I'm sure you were wonderful.
I thought so in my own mind, but didn't. I better stick with my day job. So, Franne, what did you aspire to when you were growing up? And did you always know that you wanted to be in music?
I think so. I always, played around on the piano and, of course, learned chopsticks and, the typical heart and soul. And once I learned heart and soul, that was a huge thing for me because that was 4 chords.
Yeah.
And those 4 chords could become rock and roll songs or pop songs if you change them up a little. And once I discovered that, I was off and running. I never studied formally, but I had a terrific ear. Yeah. And I loved music. I loved the way it made me feel. I slept with a transistor radio under my pillow every night.
Wow.
And I was exposed to a lot of music by both my mother and my father. And I think because it emotionally made me feel good and I had a rough go in my childhood, it was the one thing that I could hold on to that I felt understood me. Even though it couldn't speak to me, it spoke to me. And so I think it was inevitable.
That's beautiful. I mean, you obviously have natural talent for it. You have another kind of intelligence for it. I don't have musical intelligence, but you do. And as importantly, and it's funny because I ask a similar question later. Not only do you hear it, but you feel it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that's 100%. Amazing. Now, how did you get your first break in music?
Well, there was a few of them. My actual very first break was in grammar school. I used to play for the assembly hall, so that was sort of a little break.
Yes.
But I worked in Chicago. I had a part-time job in a, like a piano bar restaurant, a small restaurant on Rush Street in Chicago.
Yes.
And I soon figured out that I was not as good as a waitress because I had to carry trays and drinks, and there was always a lot of mishaps. And finally, the owner was like, no, this isn't working. And I said, well, I'm really good with people. I said, can you just try? I need a job. Can you just put me with people? And I can seat them and greet them and make them feel good. So he did. One night, this guy came in and sat at the piano bar and took over the piano, started playing. I was blown away, and I was like speechless. I had never seen anyone that close, that talented. And I got up the nerve, and afterwards, when he was sitting at the bar a little later, I walked up to him and I said, do you want to start a band?
Just like that.
He was like, what? Who are you?
Yeah.
I said, well, I work here part-time. I really think you're amazing. I'd love to start a band. I've been thinking about starting a band. And he was like, okay. And I said, I'm serious. And somehow I got him to give me his number. I called him the next day. He actually had me come over and audition, and he was very tough. And I played him a couple songs, and the next thing I knew, we had formed a little band.
So cool. That is so cool. I'm going to remember that story, and it's not even my story.
So, yeah, and we got a job there soon thereafter, and we got a year's contract to play at this club called the Gate of Horn in Chicago. And, we added to our ensemble and ended up with 4 band members. and it was an incredible ride. And that was the beginning.
That is an awesome beginning. You definitely started that. You definitely lit that fire, because had you not had the nerve, the courage, the gall, the audacity to go up to this total stranger and be like, "Oh, you dude, I got you. Let's start a band." I love it. Verb,
Exactly.
zhuzh, sass.
Yeah.
Excellent. All good
Thank
traits.
you.
All good traits. Now, what or who inspires you to write? Getting back to the writing aspect of your music. And is there a specific creative process? And if there is, describe it, or does it just flow?
Whoa. Okay, that's a lot of questions. Well, I made up songs, like, once I, as I said, learned heart and soul, I would make up little songs from those chords.
Okay.
And sing to myself, and, have fantasies of being on stage and what have you.
Wow.
As far as writing, my partner, this guy that I met, his name was Tony Zito. He was an incredible writer. And I felt like, well, if I'm going to be part of this band, I need to start, writing some songs. So I wrote a few songs, and, they had to sort of go through him. So he was had high standards. So I had to really work hard. And that was good for me. It was kind of a kick in the butt. And I, slowly but surely had a few songs in our repertoire. As far as when I became a professional, I guess you could say, songwriter.
Yeah.
As far as inspiration, I mean, it could be anything. It could be somebody playing a chord on a guitar.
Wow.
It could be somebody playing a chord on a piano or a melody. It could be me playing a melody, something that might have happened to me within the last week or the morning of a writing session that stayed with me emotionally, whether it was a good thing or a tough thing.
Yeah.
I remember like one song, I'm just coming to my mind right now as you're asking me that question. Like, we wrote this song for, I co-wrote a song for Faith Hill, and we were writing the song, and my co-writers played a chord, and I was just feeling kind of down that day. And the opening line of the song is, how do I feel? Well, I feel so alone. And that inspired the rest of the song. And it just went from there. So it could be anything.
Wow.
I'll never forget, like, working with Tom Snow, and he played a little melody that he had going, and that was just stunning. It was so, haunting to me. And he played this little melody, and all of a sudden I went, late at night when all the world is sleeping. And it just I just got a chill when
I know I did too.
I got a chill because it's like, where does that come from? I don't know. It's almost like you feel like a vessel, like you're channeling something from somewhere. You don't know where. You're just grateful it's coming through you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a really tough question when, people say, I don't know where it comes from. I wish I could bottle it.
Yeah.
And it could be anything.
That is a gift for sure. So what you just described, being a channel and being grateful that it comes through you because you are communicating and you are helping to heal with your music. would you agree that for you, creating music is a somewhat spiritual process?
Definitely. Definitely. And, when you say healing, not only it is healing to others, but healing to, me.
Yeah.
It's like when people come up to me and say, oh my God, that song, I used to listen to that song like all the time, or that song brought tears to my eyes, or that song made me feel, reminded me of something in my past, or whatever it is. It's such an honor to be part of a total stranger's life and know that somehow you had a little itty bitty part in their emotional story.
Yeah. Well-being. Yeah.
Emotional well-being.
So would you say that is one of the things you love about being in the music industry, or is there something else?
No question. I mean, and that, and of course the relationships that are so deep. It's such an intimate relationship to write with somebody. It's sort of like your musical husband or wife.
Wow.
It's like, and the authenticity and the, I've cried in writing sessions or gotten hysterical laughing, or, lots of emotions come out. A lot of writing sessions start with what's on your mind, almost like a therapy session for both, for the writers. And, it's quite a remarkable gift to have been given, to have been able to be in that world.
Yes. And when you are writing and when you are in these writing sessions, do you sometimes have a specific artist in mind that you'd like to write for, or are you just writing for?
That's a great question.
Oh, good.
Every time, for me as speaking, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but every time I have said, let's write this for so-and-so.
Yes.
Never happens.
Really?
It's always that never, ever, never, ever. It's always that song that's kind of like, you would never even imagine. It was like, oh. And that's the one that ends up getting picked up. It's kind of bizarre.
That's very interesting. Now, you talked about what you loved about the music industry. Is there anything you would change about the music industry?
Oh my God, that's wow.
Was that another Zowie question?
Questions.
I do my research, and I really don't want to waste your time. So I want to make this entertaining for you, but really deep. So I try to do my work. I hope I'm honoring you with good questions.
You are. I have to think. Hold on. Let me think.
Okay.
Is there anything I would change or that I don't like change?
Well, either. You can answer either.
There's things, I guess, in every profession that you could say you'd like to change or that could be better. God, I can't, the memories I'm left with are such wonderful, amazing memories. It seems
wonderful.
How like if you're in pain or you're in the hospital or whatever, and then you always sort of the bad stuff kind of goes away and you're left with good memories. You don't remember the pain.
Yes.
And, I wish I could have gotten to certain people that I couldn't have access to, that were more difficult to have access to, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But all in all, even with the tough moments and, not always getting to the artist you'd like to get to, or being frustrated because you don't know whether or not the person you want to hear your song heard your song.
Oh, okay.
I can't think. And of course, when downloading started and everybody panicked and didn't know where the music business was going.
Yes.
It was just a magical ride.
Okay, good. I'm so happy to hear that. I am. Now, speaking of access, is there an artist with whom you have yet to and would like to work with?
Oh, boy.
You've worked with so many incredible artists, and you yourself are a phenomenal artist.
Is there week's episode
someone that you're
Fab,
thinking, what, I would really
fashion,
love him or her to hear this song, and I would like this person
curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere,
help me put it out there.
Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful
Not
place.
Really. It's more people I'd love to hang out with and kind of be in their space, like, I don't know, Donald Fagen, Stevie Wonder.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes. There's people I would love to just be in their ether and hang out, Carole King.
Yes.
More of that.
Gotcha. I got it. And you talked about writing sessions earlier. So they're collaborative, obviously. Would you say that you work better collaboratively or alone, or is it a combination?
I'm a collaborator all the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your favorite type of music? Like in your downtime, when you're by yourself or grocery shopping, whatever, and you've got some earbuds in, what do you listen to?
Oh my God. Mostly podcasts and audiobooks.
Really? Franny, seriously?
But if I'm listening to music, anything, like, I just put together a playlist recently of all disco music, just because I was thinking about the 70s, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard any great disco music in a long time. But let me see. It's everything. I'm going to look at my little playlist here.
Please do. I'd love to know what's on your playlist.
There's so much. I've got different playlists for different moods.
I do the same. I've got a dance playlist. I've got a meditation playlist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've got like Africa by Toto, Minute by Minute, Doobie Brothers, In My Life, Beatles, Babylon Sisters, Steely Dan, Georgie Porgy, Toto,
Live beautifully and
Lovely
help
Day,
make the
Bill
world a more
Withers,
beautiful place.
Sailing by Christopher Cross, Blackbird by the Beatles, My One and Only by John Coltrane. What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Yes.
Just so many. Frank Sinatra. I recently downloaded songs in A minor just to hear it again. Alicia Keys.
Yep.
And I'm in love with this girl that I saw on America's Got Talent. She got the golden buzzer from Simon Cowell. Her name is Nightbird.
Okay.
She's got terminal cancer.
Oh my God.
And she's got this song that I was in tears.
Oh.
It's so beautiful and so.
I'm going to look her up.
She's amazing. Just amazing. Her name is Nightbird with an E at the end.
Okay.
And
Nightbird with just an N?
Yeah, Nightbirde. And the song is called It's Okay. It's okay. And it's just so life affirming and beautiful. But But, you know, I was listening to Michael Jackson. I was listening to Chance the Rapper. It could be anything.
Yes.
Anything.
So wherever your mood goes, your music follows.
Yes, exactly.
Super cool.
Exactly.
Now, describe the moment. We're going to pivot a little bit into your pivot or hemi-pivot, since you're doing both. Describe the moment when you decided to go into fashion. And so, like, what was the evolution of your fashion line? How did it start?
Well, that's pretty much what I'm doing full time right now.
Okay.
Well, you know, the music business was changing, as I had mentioned. People started downloading.
Yes.
Everybody was sort of like panicking, figuring out, you know, what's the new paradigm going to be. And, and a lot of artists were not as dependent on songwriters anymore. A lot of them were hooking up with producers or writing their own music. And and at the same time, my husband, who was a record producer, was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, so that was pretty, as you can imagine, devastating. It turned our world upside down.
Yes.
And, you know, I was going through a lot of emotions, you know, grief, sadness, kind of anxiety, panic. What am I going to do? How am I going to navigate this? Trying to be, you know, strong for him and my son. It was just intense.
Yeah.
And I decided to sell my music catalog just so I would have a little cushion.
Okay.
I did not sell my writer's share, which I still own, but my publishing share. And, you know, at that point I was thinking, you know, what can I do? I can't make the kind of music or money I used to make in the music business. And I couldn't get a 9-to-5 job because that wouldn't, you know, begin to cover our expenses or my passion. And, you know, so I'd been doing these school fundraisers for my son's school. And after I'd kind of asked too many favors of my music friends, like, will you sign this guitar? Will you sign this CD? Will you do that? I decided I would open a boutique, because a lot of the moms would ask me, where'd you get that? Where did you get that? Oh, I love that top, or whatever it is.
Yes.
So I did a boutique in the school gym. I sold out.
Wow.
And then like the following week, like the moms were calling saying, my sister saw this, my cousin saw that, my mother-in-law this, you know, can we come to your house? Do you have more? And I'm like, whoa. And so that kind of segued into selling clothes out of my house, trying to keep it up, you know, trying to find things that I thought people would like. And in the midst of all this, I found this fabric that I really loved, but I didn't love the style. It was a pant, but I did not like the pant. I just loved the fabric. And I must have spent, I don't know, several months downtown going from place to place to place looking for this fabric.
Yeah.
I finally bought several pair of these pants, cut them up, safety pinned together with the fabric of, let's say, 3 pair of pants, what I thought was the pant I wanted.
Yes.
And one day I found the fabric, and when I went to order it and see how to get it, it was overseas. They said that it was an exclusive fabric to another company and they couldn't sell it to me.
Ay.
So I was really freaked out because I'd spent so much time trying to find it.
Yes.
Long story short, one day I got an email, and I was still doing the clothes and selling out of my house and praying about this fabric. I got an email saying, I can sell you the fabric.
Oh.
Now. And I'm like, okay. And they said, well, we do have a minimum. You have to order 1,000 yards.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
Or what it looked like. It was like, right. Okay. So I ordered 1,000 yards. One day my doorbell rings. These guys come in and we have your order. And they start bringing in these rolls of fabric. I had to clear an entire room.
Oh my gosh.
That I had laid down, beach towels so it wouldn't ruin my carpeting. And they just kept stacking up these rolls of fabric. It was insane.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how it all started. I finally had the fabric. Yes. I was the fit model. And I found different pattern makers, described and showed them my little template I had.
Yes.
And that began my journey of creating the magic pant.
Fantastic. And again, you said you started it. Just like, yes. Going up to that man at the piano bar, you started, you're like, I need this fabric. Sell it to me. And then it arrived, you manifested it, and there you go. There you go. The architect of your destiny. I absolutely love it. So now that you are doing this mostly full time, what does fashion mean to you, and what purpose does it serve in your life? It isn't just putting on something great.
Well, I've seen what, like just as music moves people and creates an emotional feeling, yes. I absolutely have seen with my own eyes what great clothes and great fitting, figure flattering, if you will, clothes can do to somebody. It can change their entire mindset and give them empowerment, make them feel good, as music does. And, can give you a new outlook and make you feel differently than you knew you could feel.
Yep.
I love it. I mean, I love having a business where I can kind of see somebody and say, I can look at them. I've got to the point where I can look at somebody and I can say, okay, this would look amazing on you. And I can even kind of pinpoint what size they are.
Wow.
And I'll dress them and they, oh, no, that's not going to look good. I can't wear that. And then they put it on and they look in the mirror. I've had people cry.
Wow.
And I also love, I saw some woman on the news and she was just this amazing teacher that really was able to help her students during COVID. Yes. And some of them were homeless at this point because of financial problems. And she found every student and was able to give them books and lessons and keep the learning process going even during the trying times. Yes. She was on a news piece on TV. I tracked her down and I sent her a little mini wardrobe.
Oh, wow, Franne.
Wanted to, in some small way, say thank you for being a great human being and for doing something wonderful for your community.
That's incredible.
And you can't do that. I mean, you can do it with a song, but it's not theirs. This is something they can own. So that's I love fantastic. That aspect of it.
Yeah. Sounds similar to your music. I mean, that too, in a way, fashion is healing.
It is healing.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
And other than recognizing that you can also affect someone's life emotionally through obviously music and through fashion, what would you say is another significant thing you've learned about the fashion industry itself?
Well, it's way harder than the music business.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, let's put it as difficult. I mean, there's so many facets to it. The one thing, I mean, the biggest lesson I've learned, I would say, is that hire great people and give up control. Let people who know what they're doing do what they do best, and you do what you do best. And I got to a point where I felt like my business was going to either explode or implode. And that's when I was lucky enough, and everything's happened very organically, to find this woman who has taken my business and just helped me grow it. And it's giving up control, letting her take the reins. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Have any past or present designers influenced you?
Oh, probably everything I've ever worn or cut up or re-sewn or safety pinned.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I see things all the time. I mean, even from when I was little and buying stuff at learner shops and in Chicago. It's funny. My closet is just the history of my life. Because I don't throw much out.
That's cool.
And I'll save things from like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s,
amazing,
90s. And something, I'll spark an idea like, why did I love this?
Yeah.
And what would I change about it? What would I do to make it different? And I'm very conscious. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please finish. I'm sorry.
I'm very conscious of people's bodies and how they change as we get older, and what we want to kind of camouflage, if you will, and what we want to accentuate.
Yes.
And, I love being able to do that and share it.
Yeah. Yes. And you do it well. Is that cashmere shawl?
No,
that gray one?
The Marseille wrap, which
I am
gosh, loving right now.
It is beautiful.
Thank you.
I went to buy that gray cashmere wrap, and both gray and ivory are sold out. I'm just letting you know.
Were we out of it?
Yeah, very out. All good, but that's crazy. Okay. I love what you're wearing. I'll switch to that instead.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
So it sounds as if there's some similarities between your creative process in music. It flows, and anything could inspire you.
Totally.
And your creative process in fashion design, it also flows, and anybody can inspire you. Physically, any form can inspire you. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Very cool.
100%.
Excellent.
100%. And, we make and we design and manufacture the bulk of everything that we sell, but I also will find things like I curate. So, and that's what we call Franne's picks. I find things that I go, oh my God, I need this, or my customers will love this. So yes, we're going to carry this for spring or fall, or,
so Franne's picks, so that's your curatorial edit.
Yes, that is kind of like the boutique, the edit, and just things I find. Like, give me a second here.
Yes.
Just as for instance, like when we started making masks. But
yes, I saw that.
Pain. And, you're constantly like this. And, and then where did I put it?
Where did I put it?
So I found this woman that makes these amazing, beautiful mask chains.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, oh my God, we need to sell those. And even now, I'm not throwing complete caution to the wind. So, I mean, if I go in a grocery store or a store in general, I will want to wear my mask.
I'm with you, Franny.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this way, I almost wear it as an accessory. I just, put it on like a necklace, put it on, and it's there. If I need it, I just go like this.
It's always on. I agree with you. I still wear a mask. I mean, I hear about breakthrough cases and variants, and, as a physician, I'm hyper cautious about those things. So I still wear the mask for those reasons. And this, the other reason is that I have so many masks that match so many outfits. What am I going to do with them? I'm going to wear them.
Exactly. Yeah. But if I see something that I love, like that mask chain thing, it's like, okay, well, I didn't make it, but there's room for everybody, and I love it. And I want my customers to have them.
That's very generous. That's very loving of you. And that's very empowering of you to help support your tribe.
Thank you.
You've been listening to part 1 of the Forever Fab podcast. Stay tuned for part 2.
You've just listened to part 1 of Forever Fab podcast. Please stay tuned for part 2, coming up next.